Bridgerton is back, ladies and gentlemen. The second half of Bridgerton is back for all your tasty desires. And it's the Icon back with another Bridgerton review for you, with a Netflix review. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like it or subscribe. And for all my fans out there, I have a second YouTube channel dedicated strictly to fashion shows. So if you love fashion, fun, and everything in between, go to Bright Eyes Media on YouTube, like and subscribe, and check out my fashion show videos, because I definitely got a lot more in the pipeline, and I look forward to bringing it to all of you. Now back to the land of Bridgerton, because in our last episode, because this is episode 5, yes or no. And in our last episode, we had the situation between Sophie and between Mr. Benedict. We found out that her wicked stepmama, she lived next door. And we found out why she lives next door, because apparently she was married to the Lord of the house. He passed away, and then I guess his brother or somebody, he took over as Lord of the house. But because he didn't live in London, because he didn't like London, he didn't actually stay in the house. He stayed somewhere else. But now he's married, like the brother got married, and him and his new wife, they're coming to London, and now they kicked this bitch out the crib. So he was just like, look, he was like, my brother gone, and I'm married now, so me and my wife, we're going to live there, and you and your 2 daughters, y'all got to go. So she took whatever money she had, and she basically purchased the house next door to the Bridgerton house. The feathering maid who quit, she's there as the head maid, and they said that she's like firing everybody because this woman is crazy, and she just like, you know, she has very like low patience for like incompetence. She was even going around saying like, oh, she's like, I'm missing like a diamond studded tassel from one of my shoes, and you know, I have 37 pairs of shoes, and I've never missed a diamond until now, because that was the diamond, like the thing that she's missing. Her daughter gave it to Sophie when she got kicked out the house, because she was like, oh, this could buy you some money to get you to the next town. So she basically sold it for money. So she's mad about that. And she's like, oh, a maid robbed me. And I said, now she's mad. She's firing everybody. There was talk, and then she told him, she was like, there was talk amongst the tongue, you know, about certain things. And then she even said, that Sophie Peck was the one that stole my shoes and stole my diamond tassel. So now she's got the head maid looking for Sophie. And apparently maids talk, because there was a thing where they were all in the market together. All the head maids were in the market together, including the Bridgerton one. The Bridgerton maid, she was trying to find out information about Sophie as well, because due to the situation between Sophie and with Benedict, Sophie actually said to Benedict that she was like, look, she's like, I'm leaving Bridgerton house, because apparently now that the new lord is taking over the house that she grew up in, which belonged to her daddy. This is basically her uncle. Because her uncle is taking over the house now, she wants to go back there. And plus, she kind of wants to get away from Benedict anyway because of the attraction thing. So she goes to Lady Bridgerton, and she's just like, oh, Mom, she's like, would you write me a letter? Because she was like, I know my position here isn't permanent. And she said that a new position in my old childhood home, she's like, it just became available, and I'd like to go back. And then, you know, that's when, you know, Lady Bridgerton asked her, she was just like, you know, well, what's wrong? You know, she's like, is there anything that matters? She's like, no, nothing that matters. She's like, you and your children are lovely. She's like, I just can't bear to be here any longer. So she was just like, of course, she was like, I'll write you the letter of intent. And then, you know, that's when Lady Bridgerton said, she was like, find out all the dirt you can about Sophie. Amongst all the head maids having conversations, because the Bridgerton maid, she was asking them, she was like, have you ever heard of a Sophie Peck? And then one maid, she was like, not a Sophie Peck, but she said that there was another woman named Peck. She served with me at my old home. And then after that, the former feathering maid, she kind of put 2 and 2 together, because she was like, she's like, my lady, the lady of my house, she said that a Sophie Peck stole her diamond tassels. So she was like, oh shit. She was like, the woman that my employer seeks, she lives in the Bridgerton house. So when she goes back to Cho, I'm still calling her Cho because she's still Cho from Harry Potter to me. When she goes back to Cho, she tells her, because Cho was about to fire her ass too. She was just like, why do I keep you around? You know, and then she was like, I have information, Mom. So basically, and that was kind of sad, because like Cho was about to fire her ass, and then, you know, her whole thing was, I already quit the feathering, so if you fire me, I'm out on the street. And she's like, I can't afford to be out on the street. So in an effort for her to save her ass and to save her job, she told Cho, she was like, oh, the girl who you said stole your shoes, she lives next door to Bridgerton house. So now the cat's out of the bag. And that's going to be crazy, because she was like, I told motherfuckers not to hire that bitch. So, but then Lady Bridgerton, like, she was looking more into Sophie's past, and then she found out that Sophie's mother used to be a maid, and they're like, oh dear, she's illegitimate, because Lady Bridgerton's whole thing was Violet was like, there's something about her. She was like, the girl is hiding something, and she wanted to know what she was hiding. And then when she found out, she was actually disappointed because Lady Bridgerton, Violet thought she was a woman of high society and status because she was like, the girl can read. And that's still funny to me. She's like, the girl can read, the girl can write, she can dance, she speaks different languages. She thought this girl came from high society and just ran away from home. But then when they found out that her mother used to be a maid, she was disappointed. She was like, oh, shit, because she knows that there's something going on between Sophie and Benedict. And she thought that if she could prove that Sophie was a woman of high society, maybe Benedict would marry her and that would solve the problems. But now that she knows she's the daughter of a maid, she's like, ah, shit. She's like, I can't do anything about that because we're not allowed to touch the help, because it's frowned upon in high society. So that's the conundrum there, but she still knows there's something going on between the two of them. Benedict ended up having a conversation with Sophie, and then he was just like, you never answered me about being my mistress. And she was like, why would I do that? She was like, it's such a disgrace. And then this shit was crazy. She said, as a maid, she said, as a maid, I'm very well respected. And I was like, when? Like, when has that sentence and maid ever gone together? Because she was just like, she said, I don't have a title. So she's like, I can't be in high society. She's like, but as a maid, she's like, I command respect and people like me. And then she said that there's a certain level of respect that comes along with being a maid. But she said, if I become your mistress, that's the lowest of the low. And I'm just like, like, you're still a maid. You're still a maid. So she was like, I cannot be he's like, I cannot be your mistress. She's like, how dare you suggest such a thing? And that he feels some kind of way, but he's still like, he's in his head because like he cares about her. So he was having a conversation with his brothers, and then they were just like, oh, if you love someone, you must tell them right away. And he's like, yes, it's scary and your heart will pound, like with fear. But he's like, you must push through the fear to go for what you want in this life. So then he was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So now Hyacinth, like the youngest daughter, she was having like a dance party or something, and Gregory. Is Hyacinth and Gregory like twins? Like, how close are they in age? Because the two of them act like twins, but Gregory, he's a G, she's with an H. So Gregory's at her party too. So basically this was about like the young people who were about to step into society in maybe like a year or two. They're all at this party and everything. Sophie's there, Benedict's there, everybody's there. And, it's getting a little crazy. Alice was there. And I love Alice because she's now the new lady in waiting. And when she was presented in front of the queen, and she had the big old dress and she had the big hair and she looked uncomfortable as fuck. When she was there, Lady Danbury was like, here's Miss Alice, Your Highness. And then the queen was like, who the fuck is this? And then she was like, your new lady in waiting. And then they put her, she's like, oh yeah, she's like, stand behind me like you all do. And then she gave her the dog. Like, when she gave her the dog, I couldn't stop laughing. And Alice was dead ass holding this dog. She was like, what? Alice had this look on her face. She was like, what am I actually supposed to do besides hold this damn dog? And it's like awesome because she really doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do. But then that's when Lady Danbury, she's like, here's your chance, to win Her Majesty's favor. So now Alice is trying to get the gossip and everything so she could run tell the queen. There was a moment where Lady Whistledown, good old Penelope, she actually told the queen, she said that she didn't want to be Lady Whistledown anymore because she wrote a story about another mistress. And because of that, she ruined that poor girl's life because now that everybody knows she was a mistress, she was cast out of society. She actually got mad at Penelope and she was like, you ruined my life. And she said that I was going to use the money that he gave me to build an independent life for myself when I got too old and he threw me to the side. And I was like, well, damn. And then later on, she was like, oh, but we love each other. I'm like, but you just said he was going to kick your ass to the curb. So she got mad. And then Penelope got mad because she was just like, look, she said, it's different now because before she was able to hide behind Whistledown, she was able to hide behind the pen. But now that people know it's her, when she writes certain things and then people take it some kind of way, like they gonna run up on her on the streets, and she's like, yo, this shit ain't worth it. And she told the queen, she was like, yo, Majesty, she was like, I would like to put my pen down and pursue other writing. And then the queen was like, no. She's like, why? Then the queen was like, why does everyone keep asking me to leave and quit their assignments? She was like, no. She's like, you cannot do it. So she's stuck being whistled out, but that doesn't mean she has to write the way the queen wants her to write. I mean, she can write the way that she wants to write, but she feels obligated to do things that only the queen wants her to do, which kind of takes the fun out of the whole thing. So then, so that was how she felt. So now Alice's whole thing is she's just like, well, shit, I need to get some information to give to the queen before she before she get mad at me. So then while they're at the party, because Alice and her husband, their son, their son who's the new Lord Kent, he was also at the dance recital as well, because since he's going to be the new Lord Kent, he has to learn about the dancing and the table manners and all the society crap. And that boy got big, because I remember when he first took over as like Lord Kent and they were like teaching him and everything, that boy was like 2 feet tall. This motherfucker like 6'10" now. I think that boy grew real quick. And this was very interesting because Hyatt, she was there, again, like Gregory was there and the Kent boy was there. So there was a moment where Hyatt actually likes this boy. There was a boy that, because there was like 7 boys, like 7 girls. There was one particular boy that Hyatt actually had a crush on. She actually liked him, thought he was cute. Tall, white kid. But the Kent boy, he came over to Hyatt first. When they were like, oh, will all the boys and girls come together and dance? The Kent boy immediately went to Hyatt. So I feel like he likes her. The Kent boy actually likes Hyatt, but she liked the other boy, but the other boy doesn't like Hyatt. So that's going to be like the conundrum. And I'm just like, they try to like curveball it because, the Bridgertons, they got a thing for the dark meat. And now they're doing the whole thing where it's like this black kid like her, but she's the first one that doesn't have a thing for a black kid, besides Colin. But then, the brother, Gregory, he's in love with some black girl, and I'm just like, well, damn. I like the Bridgerton, they don't let you down. Like I said, when they go to Popeyes, clearly they choose the dark meat over the white meat. So, so more on that later. So now finally, we're at the party, and then this is when like the maids of the Bridgerton house, like they come back and they're just like, oh, we found out who lives across the street, because they were trying to find out who lived across the street this whole time. They were just like, oh, like Lady Cho, from that old house, like they've moved in across the street. Sophie found out and she was like, oh my God. She was like, suddenly I feel very ill. And then, she just like frantically like ran away and went upstairs. So now she's obviously upset. She's obviously upset because she found out that her wicked stepmom lived across the street. So she's panicking. She runs upstairs. Benedict notices that she's in a panic, and then Benedict goes after her. The mom then goes after Benedict, because when Benedict was chasing after her, like the mother Violet, she came over. She's like, Benedict, no. She's like, leave it be. She's like, whatever's happening, that's not your business. Then he was like, how dare you, mother? He was like, well, you make sweet love to this big-ass man down the hall and getting your back blown out down the block from your 2 children. He was like, you dare judge me for wanting to be with the maid? And I was just like, damn, bro, like that's your mama. I'm like, he ain't wrong though, because she was damn sure. The episode started with her getting her back blown out. So I'm like, it's like, that's what it is. So he chases after Sophie. He goes upstairs and chases after Sophie, and then she was just like, what do you want, Mr. Bridgerton? And he was like, I want to know what's the matter. And she was like, why? She was like, why do you insist on chasing me day after day, time after time? And then he was like, because I love you, Sophie. He was like, you're my everything. He was like, he said that I was a man who couldn't keep still, and you make me want to be in one place. He was like, you're the sun, the moon, the stars. And he was like, I apologize for asking you to be my mistress, but he was just like, he's like, I can't be without you. He's like, I have to have you. And unfortunately, because of society, they say we can't be together, but screw it. And then she's like, oh, but you're a man with the title, and I have no title. He was like, first of all, bitch, he was like, I'm the second son. He was like, nobody gives a shit about the second son. And he was like, I'm not even the heir to the Bridgerton throne because my brother now has a child. And I didn't know that because Anthony and Kate, I didn't know they had a boy. So that's interesting. So now that Anthony and Kate had a boy, their son is actually the head. He's the heir to the Bridgerton fortune and the Bridgerton household. So now, yeah, so Benedict's like below his nephew now. So that was actually facts. I give him props for that. And then Benedict, he's like, look, he was like he said, he's like, my brother has the heir to the Bridgerton fortune. So he's like, I'm the second child. He's like, I don't give a shit. He said, he was like, so who cares? Who cares about a maid? About you being a maid? He was like, it doesn't matter to me. He's like, all that matters to me is you. And then she was like, why do you drone on? Because you consistently, she was like, you hurt me time and time again, Benedict. She was like, when you talk about marriage and love and all that in between. And he was like, but I love you so much. And she was like, do you truly love me? And he was like, yes, I truly love you. He was like, you're everything to me. And I'm like, girl, at this point, just tell him you were the girl at the party. Because she even went in his room and she was looking at the posters and the pictures that he had in his room. He was drawing pictures of her at the party without a face. Tell him you're the girl from the party. Like, this is where Sophie killing me. But he did confess his love, and then he was like, you're everything. He was like, you're all I want. He's like, you're all I need. That's all that I care about. And then she was like, oh, Mrs. Bridges. She was like, I love you too. She's like, I couldn't wait to be with you. And then the two of them actually made sweet love. Oddly enough, when they were about to have sex, there was an end table, like a coffee table next to the bed. This big old beautiful bed with these satin sheets is sitting right there. He like kicked all the shit off the coffee table and put her ass on the coffee table. And I'm like, bro, the bed was right there. the bed was literally right there. So the two of them embraced each other in sweet passionate desires. And yeah, that was how the episode ended, with Sophie getting, she was like, do it slow, Mr. Bridgerton, because I heard it hurts. And he was like, oh yes. He was like, it will hurt, especially when I drop your ass. And she said that to him too. She was like, because when he was confessing his love, and he was just like, you know, he was like, I love you, and he's like, I want to be with you no matter what. She was like, oh, but you'll grow tired of me. She was like, one day you'll pursue another. And he was probably no, he didn't say that, but he was just like, no, he was like, there is no another, it's just you, Sophie. That's all I wanted. So they're doing the deed now. They're officially together, and it's going to be this whole thing where I guess he's going to be with her in public and he doesn't give a shit. His mom going to have a problem with that, but she can't say nothing because she's getting her back blown out, by Marcus. Yeah, that was how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. A lot happened in this episode. Even the Francesca situation. I forgot the Francesca situation. So basically, her and the cousin have decided to become friends. You know, because she was just like, every time I'm trying to be with my husband, you're right here. And then she was just like, oh, but I love my cousin. You know, she's like, but he's in good hands. So the two of them kind of made up. And, you know, they're going to be friends. They're going to try to be friends and everything. She said something about about John not feeling well or having like a headache or something. And I feel like that's going to turn into some shit. Share your questions, comments, and concerns down below as we conclude episode 5 of Bridgerton, and we look forward for episode 6. So I guess Sophie said yes because the title of the episode is Yes or No. So I want to see how this is going to play out now, because now the cat's out of the bag. Oh, and that was another thing. When Sophie and Benedict were having their discussion, when she was just like, oh, we kind of be together, and he was like, I love you though. When they were having this whole discussion, Alice was on the other side of the door listening to their entire conversation. So Alice knows now that Benedict is in love with the maid, and because the queen wants Benedict to choose a wife, she gonna spill the beans and be like, oh, the Bridgerton boy, he loves the maid. And she's gonna be like, oh no, like that cannot be. So that's gonna be some shit too, if Alice decides to spill the beans, you know, but she's looking good in that dress. So share your questions, comments, and concerns. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode of Bridgerton, episode 5. It was a lot. Like, this episode was a lot, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for the gossip, you know what I'm saying? And I'm here for everybody's privacy to be put out on display. And we'll check out episode 6 as we review it with all of you. So that was it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. So till next time, as we conclude some Bridgerton action, 3 more episodes to go. And until then, God save the queen, because we're out this bitch.